But anyways, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Human Rights Commission for February 20th, 2025. Yes, I'll do the roll call. So Chris Scott, said present.
Present.
Denise Yule,
Present.
Bill Hussein Adams,
Present.
Don Brownson.
Present.
Thank you. And then I hope this is the first and only meeting that I'll have to run, but like, do you want to go just run through introductions so that we make sure everybody knows each other? And if you want to highlight any connection that you have to the work or why you're excited to be here, I can start if you want.
Please.
So I'm Nate Hotchkiss. I've been on city council for a year. There were some calls in the community to like reestablish the Human Rights Commission. We had a referendum to try to make sure that happened. Ultimately, the voters decided they wanted to bring back the Human Rights Commission. And I'm just trying to steward that along the best that I can. We have you amazing candidates to serve here, but ultimately my role is going to be pretty limited with its interaction with you guys. I just want it, once it's like set in motion, it's like I think everybody wants it to be kind of independent, because I also need to be accountable for any type of human rights violations that I might, and same with the rest of city council and the mayor. But ultimately, I'm happy that we're all here and we finally found a date that worked for everybody and we can get started. But that's me. You want to go next, Chris?
I'll go.
Sure.
My name is Christopher Scott. I'm local to the area. I've been here all my life. I work for the Addiction Center of Broome County. I've been there since 2017. Ever since I was released from federal prison. And I'm excited to be here for a number of different reasons, but the main reason is because for a long time, most of my life, I was a real liability to the community that I live in. And over the last, I'd say 10 years, I've worked really hard on myself to change who I am. And I'd like to continue to be an asset to the community outside of just working for ACDC. So that's why I applied for the Human Rights Commission.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm really excited to be here also. So I'm part of an org called CARES. That's my small little organization. We are very much interested in equity in schools. So the work that we do is kind of focused on trying to make sure that children shouldn't be pushed out of schools unnecessarily. So we have our programs that are directed for that. They're successful academically. But I'm also a professor at the university, right? I teach courses in human rights and social justice and stuff like that. And having been a person that has walked in the skin for many years, I understand the consequences that are often gone unnoticed that people have to deal with, right? And I think right now, I'm super excited that this council has come back because of the time that we're at. There's a lot of energy directed at violating people's human rights and taking away people's civil rights. And so I think that for us to be able to kind of like be underground in a community, trying to work to at least sound the alarm for those kinds of things, I think is really important. So I'm about local action, you know, and I think that this is the time for us for sure.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hussein Adams. I'm Executive Director and CEO of the American Civic Association right here, 131 Front Street. I've been in the area for about 25 years. Just passionate and really passionate about human rights. And, you know, many of our clients that come to the ACA, they're struggling to find representation, you know, regardless of what their status is, you know, where they come from, what language they speak. They're looking for representation, and it's a population that's vulnerable, a population that's in need of assistance, in need of help. I myself have personally been through it. You know, most of my family comes from the Caribbean, West Indies. I acquired my U.S. citizenship here. Matter of fact, at the American Civic Association. And, you know, I went through a lot. This is right after 9/11. Muslims were being discriminated against, and eventually I had to take my case to the Supreme Court, and we won. And that's how I acquired my US citizenship. So it's something that I'm really passionate about, because I've experienced it, I went through it, many years of it. Now I want to give back. I want to give back to the community. I want to help those that are, in similar situations. And also too, I think it's important, as mentioned, that during this current time and era that we're in, more so than ever before, a local voice is needed. I feel as though the local voice is needed for individuals and populations that are underrepresented, that are misrepresented, that are underprivileged, that don't have the resources, don't have the education, or don't have the experience to, find some type of legal representation or to be able to get to the people that they need to get to. We don't look to, we're not attorneys. I am DOJ accredited with the Department of Justice, meaning thereby that I can practice and give legal advice in the field of immigration law. And I do so with my clients, and I do so, working in the capacity that I work in. But we're looking to, in my vision, looking to be some type of liaison for the Department of Human Rights on a state level. I'm also a part of Senator Leah Webb's Hate and Bias Commission, and the Lieutenant Governor Delgado, the governor established regional councils. So the Southern Tier has its own regional council. I'm a member of that council. So we meet regularly and we discuss these things and these matters as it is anyway. So I feel as though, functioning also on a local level could potentially benefit the mission.
Absolutely.
Is the Hate and Bias Commission connected to the Human Rights
No,
Division?
it's
Okay,
separate.
so it's a separate
It's separate.
state entity?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's separate, but so the Southern, it's basically there's 10 regional councils stretched out throughout the state, and then you have members of each council and so it's still developing, structure is still being put in place, so.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm John Brunza. First and foremost, I'm humbled by all the everything that's brought to the table here. I grew up in the area, and currently during the day I work as an investigator for the Federal Public Defender's Office out of the Middle District of Pennsylvania. So I work every day with attorneys assigned to represent indigent individuals, fight the charges against them. And I'm very excited and passionate about the work that I do there. Prior to that, I was a senior investigator for the Office of Police Complaints in Washington, D.C., where I investigated allegations of excessive force, harassment, discrimination, language and conduct violations, and retaliation for the Metropolitan Police Department and the D.C. Housing Authority Police. I'm very excited to be here. I'm behind the 8 ball because I don't walk in a lot of the same shoes of the people that are going to need us. But that doesn't stop me from wanting to be part of the solution and doing my part and joining. So thank you all, and I'm very excited to get started.
Thanks.
Oh, you're in a strong position, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Allyship.
Yeah, yes,
That's a big
it's
deal.
very important to me.
Before we move on to what I've outlined under the new business, I think it's kind of the thing that nobody wants to do, but we have to also elect a secretary, take notes for the meeting. Is there anybody that wants to volunteer or nominate themselves to be responsible for meeting minutes?
Certainly don't want to volunteer. I don't think I'm a great minute taker.
I'll take your-
I don't want to skirt any responsibility either, so I'll make sure that when something else comes up, I'll volunteer for that maybe.
I'll do it the first round.
Okay. Or we could do that too. Maybe we could take turns on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any challengers?
Does anybody else want?
Not at all.
No, no. In fact, I second
And
the
I'm
motion.
just really-
Yeah. There you go.
Outstanding. Thank you for being the secretary. The first thing I had outlined in new business is just like a review of what currently exists under human rights law in our city council, city of Binghamton charter. So this is what we have, and I think it's like you look at the dates, it was established in 2008. There's been updates ever since then. And there can continue to be updates in the future. And that can be driven by you all, or it could be driven by the council, the mayor's office, even like other members of the community. But this is a piece that you'll be focused on enforcing in your responsibility as commissioners of the Human Rights Commission. So I wanted to make sure that you had all of this and then we're aware of like what's specifically in our charter, but I think there's human rights law that extends far beyond like what we have established in local law. So, but this just helps us kind of reinforce what might already be out there. Is there anything I will say the points about housing has been pretty pertinent, and other council members have had me want to highlight that housing discrimination. There's been plenty of studies that continues to be prevalent within the city of Binghamton. That might be something we are hopefully motivated to work on or look into further. And I think this section could be expanded, but that can be up to your discretion.
Which section are you talking about?
So I think you've got, look at the other packet. So there's 45, section 45 of the chapter outlines our human rights law, and then chapter 45A has all of the fun stuff for the Human Rights Commission specifically. Okay. But
I have a question if I can.
Yeah.
And perhaps this is jumping the gun a little bit. As I understand it, we're in part a referral body, right?
Yeah.
To the state.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to this, should we also be familiarizing ourselves with what the state has in place, if anything as well?
Yeah. Seems pertinent, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. And I think the council member Medvetsky and myself has tried to do a little bit of legwork for you guys ahead of time, and we got a few different contacts that we can share with you at the state level. They're also going through a little bit of their own reforms of how they're operating. Mm-hmm. So those contacts might change. We want to have to continue to reach out and just try to maintain open communication. But I think, and there's also which is one of the next things on the list. There's like periodic meetings of the different human rights commissions that are established locally across the state. Again, Councilmember Medvetsky has attended some of those meetings and has met with different human rights commissions individually. And they all vary wildly about like what the extent of their practices, like for better or for worse. So I don't necessarily think we here in Binghamton need to like lean on their models. Maybe there's things that we can take, but we can also like build your own model and then hopefully be a template for the state of how the Human Rights Commission can function. Sure. Especially, I know even though the state has like way more resources, I still think I'm under the impression that they still get overwhelmed with complaints and there's probably delays. So if there are other mechanisms that we can establish locally that don't completely rely on the state's resources, I think that'd be good. It'd be good to explore and try to see what we can do.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so that's 45, section 45. And again, I'll share that with those contacts and try to set up meetings for you guys with the uh, state division of human rights.
So there's gotta be some like written document, right? From the state, the human rights. Is there something from the state? in terms
There's
of-
more, yeah, I can print out more, but I was
Okay,
gonna
just-
starting small.
Oh, gotcha,
Starting
gotcha.
small and local for what we have here. Are there any other thoughts on this at this moment?
No.
I don't know if it's completely comprehensive, but I think it's a starting point.
Okay,
Also. Then we can move on to section 45A, which is just. What is the Human Rights Commission, and. This is what we updated recently in this referendum, but if you guys are, just to reiterate, you're all on 2-year terms. I think we established that, and.
So they're 1-year terms?
2 years, we signed up for 2 years.
Right.
We signed-
Got me.
I'm not looking for somebody else, 2 years, so. Yeah, but there's different. And I think this is really, kind of more useful than the 45, because it describes different mechanisms to kind of foster
Mhm.
mutual understanding between different groups, and I think Denise, Dr. Yule, excuse me, apologize.
Jesus.
You were actually part of the Human Rights Commission previously,
Mhm.
so I think you have some historical knowledge of what was working, what you had engaged with previously.
Well, in that. At that time, we were working a lot on the Police Modernization Act, that never went through. Right?
Mhm.
Trying to have oversight, that's why I found interesting what you did. Oversight for police, trying to figure out. You know, oversight in terms of how they stop people that were not necessarily in automobiles. But on the streets, and how they treated people that maybe not were people of color, but people that were gender fluid, how they were getting treated, and those kinds of things. And we also took in complaints and we would follow them. I mean, you know, our model was we would follow the complaints, so we would try to do, you know, letters to the newspapers, hold press conferences and stuff like that, because you know, we don't have any funding.
Right.
So it's really what we have as voice, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Trying to kind of let people know what's going on.
I'm wondering if that could change funding, lack of funding. Even on a state level, as I was mentioning earlier, the hate and bias, actually, there's a connect, so Senator Webb has an issue council. That's the difference that I was
Mhm,
speaking of. I think I might have misspoke. The DHR's, so the local southern tier hate and bias coalition is a part of DHR. So those 10 councils, those 10, regional councils, report to DHR. So they've spoke many times about getting funding. So I'm wondering, and I'm gonna pose a question and bring it up on next meeting, how can, as a representative for the southern tier, how can we assist the local Binghamton Council financially, like, can we get any type of funding, because these are the people that's doing the work.
Well, we were trying to put together publications, like we were trying to get like the actual document for the Police Modernization Act out, that was printing on it and stuff like that. And we didn't really get any help with that. So we were doing whatever we could do to try to get printing things, or if we wanted to go, we had, I mean, it would be useful to be able to have money to be able to kind of do those kinds of things.
Right, and I think it's outlined somewhere in here that it's like you do have the ability to seek funding or grants.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So that's that's something you're permitted to do, and
Yeah.
it's just finding those sources,
Yeah.
and making the applications or the asks for funding. I will, say that around the time of the referendum, the Human Rights Institute at Binghamton University had reached out to me and said that if there's any way that they can, I mean, they'd like to foster a connection with however the Human Rights Commission is set up, to be a resource. And I don't know if that is a financial resource, but maybe they're familiar with financial resources, but also for like research, things of that nature. And I think there's probably other organizations throughout the community that are also like-minded and are happy to assist, and that's probably part of their mission, is to foster some of these connections.
So I think one of the things we're trying to do is not to get stretched, because there aren't that many of us, right? So you really do have to kind of focus in on,
Yeah, honing your attention.
you know, holding your attention, right?
Yeah.
So we chose the police as where we put a lot of our energy. Yeah, and then we also chose trying to deal with people who were getting body shamed at work, and they were losing opportunities because of those kinds of things, to make sure that wasn't, that we couldn't discriminate against people because of their,
Where you look, right?
the way they looked and their size and that kind of stuff, so. But that was a lot of work, you know, but then we got a lot of pushback, there's a lot of hostility, it was a kind of different
Yeah.
environment. We did not have a council that's in place right now. So it was, yeah. It was
And there's still pushback.
oh, yeah, I'm sure there,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there is, but you know,
There's no pushback, and we ain't doing something right, I guess, so, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we should be operating on the lowest common denominator. These are human rights.
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah. But it might be worthwhile to connect with them, to kind of invite them to a meeting to talk about, once we kind of have some ideas of what we want to do.
Yeah, like what our phones are gonna be.
Invite
Yeah.
the Business and Berkeley Human Rights Institute. She has money, not a lot. And then right now, you know, money on campus is a little bit sticky
Yeah.
because of the federal.
Yeah.
Everything's pretty,
Yeah.
You guys do a lot of research up there for stuff, and they cut a lot of that research because of I was just reading that. I was
Yeah,
like,
people's.
It's like,
Research
taking
grants are
close.
funded or being funded.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
you know,
There's a lot going on right now. And then truth is, people are just scared.
But
You know
what's
what I mean? Everybody's
also be helpful with is to maybe help us see where there are grants. 'Cause that's a thing, the grant thing is always, you know, like, not knowing, you know, where to go to apply for grants.
Yeah, I have pretty good connection for a lot of different grants through like COSAP and because I work for ACBC, so I have a couple email threads that I get, and they're just grants, and I go through them regularly for just for my agency. And I don't know how it would look for this commission, but I'm sure there's probably some in there that we might be able to apply for. So I'll certainly keep my eye out for that. And actually, if you guys would like, I can include you in those emails so that you get them also.
Please.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, there's tons of grants out there, it's just.
Where to go?
Research, where to
Right.
go and getting them written, and you know,
Yeah.
we have. I just hired a grant manager, a couple days ago, and, she's really good.
You need a good one.
And,
Yeah.
You need that.
A lot of competition for
But
grants,
It's
so-
not
Yeah.
just about writing it, you know, that's the, it's the easy part.
It is kind of.
That's the second part.
Yes.
You know, that's,
Yeah.
you know, it's.
Having a
locating-
feel for it.
Yeah, locating and being able to, you know, because with grants, you know, fulfilling the criteria.
Yes.
You understand, and being able to prove that you're eligible
Mhm.
and why and how, and then reporting for that.
Yeah.
You know, so,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking too, also, we can potentially. Maybe we can, you know, we have a very robust internship program. And every semester, we bring in a certain amount, you know, interns from the school. And, you know, I place them in each department, finances, grants, and they are, you know, especially if they're getting into that.
Yeah.
You know, if they're
Yeah.
majoring in something, anything
Right.
related.
Let's tap that market.
Yeah.
It could be good for like an internship
Mm-hmm.
or volunteer work, or,
Mhm.
you know, there's definitely a lot of interest.
Really, that's what we're doing.
Like we gotta turn the students on, it's like, it's so much hands-on work for us, especially in immigration, teaching them, you know, about the different statuses, about the different eligibility criteria, the evidence that's needed.
Yeah.
And what to, from intake all the way through, so that's, something else.
I think I think we will be able to get a lot of different agencies or community partners to want to, be a part of this to some degree, right? I think that we all have positions in the community where we have some type of influence. And I think that we can use that influence to really garnish a lot of support from agencies in the area that we all work with.
At the very least, to listen.
Right.
We need to hear
Right.
what they have to say, what the concerns are, what they're hearing and feeling in the community. So
Yeah.
that we best know where to direct our resources.
And I think that with this type of commission, I think that oftentimes, especially, I won't say especially, but for someone like me, I don't get invited to the table often because of my criminal history and just a stigma that's associated with the lifestyle that I've lived and, people look at my background, so I don't really get an opportunity to sit at these types of tables. And I think now that I'm at the table and this is our table, I think, it provides a unique opportunity to bring other people to the table who also don't get a chance to have their voice heard, you know what I mean, within the community. So there's just a ton of upsides to just being a part of this. So yeah, I'm just excited to get it rolling, you know what I mean?
But I like this idea of like a listening campaign to kind of, one of the things, but I also know, from the work that I do, that housing is like, is really
It's the issue.
an issue here. It's a big issue. I mean, I work with, in cares, I work with a lot of people who have a used to their background, and I work with a lot of people who are poor, and they often find themselves homeless. Or living in really awful places, and not even understanding like landlords playing them and doing kinds of crazy stuff to try to get them out so they can turn around with their apartments and students. That's happening a lot. We just had a guy that just went through that.
Right.
So the housing thing is terrible.
It is terrible.
And I don't see like the city seeing it as,
An issue, a problem.
yeah, well, they're creating a bunch of housing that's supposed to be, low income housing.
Yeah,
or
Yeah,
affordable housing, but I don't know how to define that thing.
well,
Someone told me you have to have like a salary of $50,000 to get some of this housing, and that's
How
not
much do you say?
$50,000.
we have to have at least 50,000.
Yeah.
That's not low income.
That's
Low
not low
income
income.
is, we're talking 15 to 25,000 a year and sometimes lower than that.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
and listen, I worked for a grant through Governor Hochul, and it was SOS, Safe Option Services, and it was specifically designed to combat homelessness for vulnerable people. And I can tell you firsthand, I worked in this area under the bridges, and there is absolutely, not only is there no housing for people, but the stigma and the discrimination towards certain individuals is so palpable, like it's undeniable, like literally undeniable. And then furthermore, when we have somebody, and it goes far beyond that, like you're talking to me, if I have a guy who I work with and he comes to me and says he needs inpatient treatment, and I work diligently, we get him an inpatient, and he goes to Conifer Park and he's there for 90 days. And then on the way home, he's still homeless, he still has nowhere to go. And then he goes to DSS, and DSS, probably no fault of their own, I'm not disparaging DSS by no means, I'm just stating facts. They place him on North Street in a flop house with 3 other people who are consistently using substances. So what we're doing is we're not giving this person an opportunity to get better from his disease, because we're putting him right back in the throes of where his disease is the most vicious, right? And whether or not that's a human rights violation, it's not for me to say, but it's a human rights issue, right? Because now these people don't have an opportunity to get better, even though they want to, right? So, like I said, I know firsthand that housing is certainly an issue. And one of the other things that I think we might have a problem with is, like, how do we prove that the landlords are discriminating You're right, because a lot of times they use credit background checks. They use these barriers that allow them to deny someone housing and that protect them from a discrimination lawsuit
They're
or whatever.
savvy.
Yeah, they're very savvy, right? They're very savvy, right? So we're definitely gonna have an uphill battle with the housing, but I'm up for the challenge, and I think that this is what this commission is for, so they can kind of root out these landlords that are discriminating against individuals who need safe housing.
So we have some people in this area that are like experts
Good.
on that thing that would be worthwhile. But then I think I like the idea of listening, you know, because we don't know.
Yeah.
And, Rebecca, who just, I don't know if she could come to a meeting,
I mean, yeah, you could have her as a,
because
if you wanna.
she's a person that is an expert on.
I mean, you
She's got
can
really
invite,
an
you can
expert
invite
there.
whoever you want.
Yeah.
And I invited myself.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
But-
yeah, I mean, she's an expert on housing, you know, she knows a lot of people working in housing.
Yeah,
You know, there are people that are doing grassroots stuff in housing, and it's,
CNY Fair Housing, I don't know how prevalent the program is here, but I know that they have one, that does like discriminatory like testing.
Okay.
So if there's like a listing,
Ah,
they have a way to
Check it
basically
out.
see like
they
what's
send,
going on. If it's,
they send like an undercover type and
Yeah,
probably try to get it.
yeah, so that's just like what came to mind, but that's like, so. And that's probably what's gonna be, there's probably different organizations that have ways
Mechanisms to
of
kind of, yeah.
whatever type of discrimination you might be up against. So like establishing all those connections for this board is probably a really good
yeah, I think that would be
starting
good.
place.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I have
Regards
my
to
favorites.
legal services, Central New York. They have attorneys that, you know.
Kind of pro bono work,
Yeah, pro bono work, and they, it's like, eviction defense, you know.
Yeah, and we just had, and we have people that may not be lawyers, but they haven't like,
Mhm.
have enough knowledge of how this is supposed to work to be able to help people. So sometimes community folks can help some other folks. We just had a guy who listed 2 months ago, and then he got an eviction. So it's like, you know, it's like 11% you're evicted. So when he came to talk to us, I'm like, well, let's talk to this person, because that's not how eviction works.
Right.
You know, and then they had a court hearing, and the landlord said, oh, don't come to the hearing. There's no need for you to come to the hearing.
There's no need for you to be
Yeah,
there, right?
and he trusted it, but then we were able to get legal services to say, oh, no,
You gotta go to
you gotta
that.
reschedule this, because, yeah,
Yeah, that's.
so that was,
That's a common.
but that's the kind of like
It's a common practice.
tomfoolery.
There's something called selective discrimination as well.
Mhm.
So if you have a situation like that, or something that is where someone is discriminated, they lose their job, they're fired, they're evicted, they're, you know, targeted. Even in like a promotional interview, or, you know, if that person is discriminated against and their, the person that comes up after them is hired or brought in, or the new tenant, you understand, that is, let's say the landlord is what? Let's say, you know, he wants this, you know, whatever, non-European individual out of his home or his apartment. If he can't legally justify, you understand, that he had legal grounds in accordance to the law to evict him.
Right,
Just,
eviction
you know,
order, yeah, right.
then you have something to work with, because it was selective, you know, this person was targeted because of whatever the case may be, you know, we don't know. But, you know, I'm looking at this thing here where it says, you know, to report complaints in New York City Division of Human Rights, alleging unlawful discriminatory practices under, you know, Article 15. So I guess it would be us doing that legwork, that investigation, looking into, you know,
Whether, yeah,
what they're alleging,
yes,
you understand, so that we can present that, you know, so
Right.
they can be investigated
Yes.
with an attorney.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
You understand,
Right.
and dug further.
Right.
As opposed to just, look, you know, pushing the work.
The one thing I wanted to mention, it's part of New York state laws about local human rights commissions is that it can't, you're not investigators in this
Mhm.
role.
Okay,
So you can hear someone's complaint, but you're not empowered to go look at it.
that's what I'm.
Yeah,
I might have
so.
said,
Yeah.
I might have said
Yeah.
investigate,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
gathering information.
Yeah. They
Doing-
just bring
presenting-
information to us.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
bring it
That's
back.
correct.
And then we can take
Yeah.
that information and we can,
To be investigated.
yes.
Yeah.
Instead of change, right?
Definitely not
That's
trying to
right.
investigate, yeah.
But go back to your eviction notice, like, man, you don't understand how many people that I work with that come to me and tell me like, hey, I don't know, I got this on my door and I look at it and it's literally something that the landlord
So
just printed
handwrote.
out
Oh,
on,
even ha-
or
I-
handwritten.
handwritten.
and I'm like, this is not legal, bro. You don't have to worry about this, you know what I'm saying? And I can't give legal advice either, but I think I can give advice to let them know like, hey, this isn't a legal notice. Like, you know what I mean? You
It's
can,
not how it's done.
it's not how it's gonna go. And this just happened Monday in my group.
It happens over and over, because people don't know, and they're afraid,
They're afraid.
you know.
The other thing too is assisting people with trying to access an attorney.
Right.
Trying to access legal help.
Yeah, and I think that there's a issue, because legal aid is great, but they're like inundated and overwhelmed,
Yeah, they really are.
so. But anyway, let's like get off our,
Yeah,
so.
go out there and have it snowed in.
So do you guys want to,
Select the chair.
yeah, let's select the chair, and then we can decide on next.
Not me.
We only need.
Yeah, you guys are way more qualified than I am.
No.
I'm looking at the same-
I- some of my voices that I'd like amplified in this room.
I'll be quite honest,
I'm already ready to go, so.
No.
I feel like you should be the chair or you should, well, she know your treasurer or the,
I'm the
not
secretary.
the secretary.
I just.
There's no money, there's no money to be a treasurer.
I just like I should handle the money, right? That's why I tell my husband all the time, it's like, if I handle the money, because I have nothing left.
I appreciate you select, offering me, but I do feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
As the white guy shouldn't take the role on the lead on this, I'm not,
And I think that, I certainly understand, man, but the reason, the fact that you're sitting in that chair, it doesn't matter what color you are to me, man. The fact that you're sitting there speaks volumes, you know what I mean, so.
I appreciate it, but I need to be listening
I got
more
you.
than I speak.
Let's talk about the role of the chair.
Yeah, what's the role? Let's talk about
What's-
that.
Good idea,
What's
yeah.
the role of the chair? What do we see the role of the chair as?
Yeah, what is the role?
I mean, I guess it would be to,
Is it in the Bible?
What's in writing here is
Yeah.
the commission will vote on a chairperson for each year, to serve for 1 year. Chairperson can be
Where do you
reappointed.
need from,
it looks like that's in the, 45, right?
45.
Yeah,
45A,
it's really small,
45A.
tiny print. I didn't bring it.
Second page?
I'm on the second page down on point,
45,
I'm on 3, where it starts the
Last
term of
line, yeah.
membership.
okay. Oh, so it's like number 3 at the bottom of the page?
Yep.
And it's after membership rules and procedures, number 3. The commission will vote for a chairperson each year. And it doesn't really say what they do.
I
Member,
would imagine that a chair would have a somewhat of a spokesperson role
That's what it sounds like.
in addition to leading the meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. someone was gonna
It
be
should,
the-
it should be the face of
Yeah,
who we are and what we're trying to do.
We're all apprehensive because it's like.
everyone's overloaded.
We just,
I
yeah.
don't have to decide today, or maybe we do, I don't know.
I
Is that
think
something,
we have to
Oh, we have to decide today?
Yeah, because we need to kind of,
get things rolling?
yeah.
Well, who has experience with this type of stuff? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a lot of
Yeah.
experience with being on any board for that matter. You know what I mean? And
And they're the person that all correspondence goes to them.
That's the only other thing that's outlined.
But
But yeah, the chair will probably like run your meetings,
Yeah,
will run your meetings and handle any like communication that's coming to the commission. So that's.
Who knows
Pretty-
their Robert's rules?
listen, I hear what you're saying, right? But I wanna posit something to you, because we are living in a very interesting area. You know, when I show up with my scarf on, and I'm not Muslim, and I'm not, a foreign national, I also
Mhm.
get approached as if.
As if you are.
Yeah,
right?
it's like, it's not a problem for me, but it's like. So people don't, they don't see me, which is why I always make people call me Dr. Y'all. You know,
Mhm.
really, that's really, I don't really have this kind of hang-ups around. Houses and stuff, I make them call me that, I need them to,
Recognize.
and realize that when you start to me, that's something a certain way, right?
Mhm.
We are like in a very kind of, you know. Community, and I came here from Buffalo like 20 years ago, so I'm not grown up in this area. And I can say for Buffalo's got a lot of segregation, racism, and its own stuff going on, right?
Mhm.
But here. I think people might hear you in ways that you won't hear me. You know, and I think
respect
for
that.
the first year going out, we need people to hear us.
I respect that.
We need people to hear us, so,
You already got enough going against us.
yeah, so, you know, it's not at all that. That I don't think that any one of us, including you, couldn't be sitting in a chair, well, that's not the issue.
Yeah.
But right now, what we need to do is kind of like solidify our position here,
Mhm.
so this thing continues on, right?
Mhm.
So, I think, yeah.
So what I hear you saying is like, right now, you kind of have a lot of voice in this area, you know what I mean? And it's well said, because unfortunately, if someone who looks like me gets up and we're doing a press conference and I'm talking about stuff, a lot of people are gonna tune out. You know what I mean? And that's just unfortunate, you know, what I mean? And hopefully in time, you know, when we become more recognizable and we start doing the work that we're doing, you know, we might be able to, you know, look at it differently.
So we don't want to tokenize you.
No. Definitely don't. But we
I
will.
reluctantly accept the confidence of the group.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you, thank you.
I definitely agree. I mean, look, I wouldn't hesitate. I'm beyond knee deep, number one. Secondly, I'm not originally from the area. Third, I just got a lot going on, especially at the ACA, and I'm dealing with so many different aspects of immigration.
Especially now.
Yeah, you know, it's, you know, and then too, you know, we got a lot of haters too.
Mhm.
And, you know, in addition to that, I'm also part of a religious community that also has been targeted in the past numerous times, has been threatened, you
Mhm.
know, has been, you know, we had a former congressional candidate that came all the way from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Mhm.
They tried to bring harm to our, you know, our community, and so there's a lot behind my name, and
Mhm.
I prefer to just work,
Mhm.
honestly, and support. You know, I could work.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking.
So can we make,
Yeah,
this formal, can,
Well,
I
let him speak first, but.
yeah,
Um,
no, 'cause we need to vote. We need to-
Right,
someone is-
right.
Oh,
we need
okay.
to vote, and then,
Nate, you were about to say something?
No, go ahead. It's your meeting, it's your meeting now.
so I would like to put forward John to be the chair of this committee. Is anybody gonna second that?
I second that.
actually doing all in favor, right?
All in favor?
All in favor, and
All in favor, aye.
I will abstain and.
Okay, so the vote is,
No, you gotta vote for yourself.
you can vote for yourself,
I think so, because technically there's supposed to be 3 other people.
and we're,
Make it-
we're
I do have
right
quorum
now, so we
questions.
have to,
Yeah,
yes, so you have to vote.
okay, aye.
Okay, so the vote is 4.
Take everybody's. What's your vote?
Favor.
Okay,
Denise,
yes.
Dr. Yule. And Chris Scott.
Aye.
Okay. Congratulations.
And thank you.
Motion
Thank
passes.
you,
Um,
not something I thought out, but I.
No, and I get it,
appreciate
you know, I mean, and for me, I just feel, I'm not, I'm a little intimidated just by the sound of chairperson, you know what I mean, like, I feel like I have a little imposter syndrome as it is. And I think as I work and as I do, I realize I do belong, you know what I mean, but I feel like taking on that endeavor would be really intimidating and cause anxiety right now for myself.
Okay, but I think you will be fine.
I appreciate
And
that. I
honestly,
really do.
you know, we all have imposter syndrome, you know, for the
Yes.
most part, yeah, we all.
Me
2026.
too, yeah.
You can run for chair for
Yeah.
2026.
So-
Right, yeah. I
Next,
certainly will. What's the next thing on the agenda?
So I think that is the last thing.
Well, I have another last, before, when we're all in the same room, you should set your next meeting. Look at all your
Okay,
schedules
that's
together, so we don't have to get on a crazy email chain.
So I know for me, I work Mondays and Wednesdays until 6:30. So it's a little hard to get into the meetings at a certain good time. I don't know when we want to have the meeting. Is 6 p.m. a good time in general for everybody?
For me.
Yeah.
Certainly evening,
Yeah,
6
me
p.m. is
too.
generally the earliest
Okay.
that I.
So 6 is good. Now we just gotta like kind of figure out what day of the week would best work for everybody, I guess.
Wednesdays are out for me.
Yeah, Mondays and Wednesdays are out on for 6.
I think Thursdays are not bad. Fridays.
Thursdays and Fridays is great for me.
What's
I
going
could do
on?
Thursdays and Fridays.
My schedule changes, so it's unpredictable. Thursday sometimes are good, but then sometimes I'm not even in Binghamton.
Yeah.
I mean, we can, whatever the majority is, we can go with.
So is there a Monday? Monday?
Mondays, no,
No.
I
No,
work
you
6
said-
to 3. So if we can get Thursday or Friday, it seems like
Thursdays is good.
Thursdays is good.
Okay, how often are we meeting?
I think once a month, the bylaw. I know we're supposed to meet once a
You
month. We
can-
can meet more
You
often.
can meet more than once, a month, but you have to meet once.
Okay.
a month.
Do all of our meetings have to happen here and recorded?
I think recording is. I believe that's a requirement for open
Okay.
meetings law.
Right,
They don't have to happen in this room. We got the decent setup here, so
Yeah.
you can use it. But really any place that you have like the recording, like if you want to do it in chambers, as long as there's not a conflict, you can do that. There might be other
yeah,
places,
Okay.
but it doesn't have to be here. This is just was convenient for me.
okay.
Do you
But
have
members would be able to
a
zoom in if necessary?
I can double check that.
Okay,
The video conferencing.
all right.
There's, because that's kind of been changed, that's been like, open meetings law has been in flux, like post-COVID,
Okay,
and like during COVID, so. Sort of things.
okay.
So-
I just want to make it flexible as much as possible for
Right,
for us to be
ACA, I
productive.
don't know if you guys have been there, they've got beautiful healthcare. It's a really nice spot. We just
yeah.
we just gotta have the ability to record.
Now, are they
Maybe
open to
some
the public?
recordings too.
this will be, this will be posted to the city website, or not the city website, the city YouTube, City of Binghamton has YouTube, all the meetings for different commissions, city council. Everything it's like a lot of videos get posted up.
Okay.
So I really watch them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
You don't
Can't
have
move on.
enough time in your day. to
Might get
watch
mad.
videos. But they're there. Yeah, and I'm sure there's other. I know the environmental commission there. A few times they met at the library. But I don't know what they did with the recording, so I can look into that and like, we can just double check like
Yeah.
what's.
Doesn't need to be
Yeah,
decided immediately.
yeah, but I think if you can figure out a way for us to do recording at the ACA.
Yeah.
That's a really nice spot.
But so we're in the evenings, potentially Thursday or Fridays. Are we prepared to set a next date now though, or is it?
I'm prepared now.
Yeah, we should
Okay.
probably say next
I don't know if we should wait
Uh,
for a whole month though.
No, no. I have once we decide. Next meeting, I have a suggestion, because I think that we should have someone like this about pricing. So,
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I absolutely agree that's, and I like the listening idea. And it sounds like, we're talking about topic, right? So maybe we, with the idea that we set up these blocks of different topics and invite speakers to come together and so we can listen to them. In those blocks throughout the year. Something to think about. If listening is important to us, which I'm
Yes.
hearing that it is. And we need to find the topics and what the community is what matters to the community.
and I'm thinking about Rebecca, because I've seen her do her presentation a couple times would be really detailed,
Mhm.
you know, and has statistics and those kinds of things.
She calls herself a data nerd, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
Oh, yeah.
but I also think it would be helpful to talk to someone who is trying to do a solution and listen to the roadblocks they've got.
Yeah, I'm so well aware of
So I would
that.
say,
And I don't know about maybe former council members. Human Rights Commission members.
I would like to hear more of your
Yeah.
experience.
yeah, we can do that. But we brought Sean, and I'm kind of with him too, I'm concerned about, you know, gender bias and, you know, discrimination against people that are part of that
Mhm,
communities.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
So we thinking 2 weeks then? Is that what we're looking at?
I
Or
would be open
Or-
to 2
or-
weeks.
wanna push a little further?
How do we, because I would invite Rebecca and Margaret. What do you think? Right?
Your commission.
I know you're an expert on how some of this not play.
That's a great starting point. I think there's probably. I think folks at CNY Fair Housing might also be a resource. Rebecca would have those contacts, but they're like active in that work. So,
Oh, sorry, I almost think maybe we need another brainstorming session here.
Yeah, it could be.
Before we-
Logistically, before we start inviting people in. You know,
also
in 2
probably
weeks or so.
some trainings that, I think there's some trainings that are available at the state, and then probably. To familiarize yourself with state law, or like how to
Yeah.
file complaints with them, or like elevate and escalate.
So maybe set another,
So what are the trains that are available?
I gotta reach back out to them.
well, yeah, to your point, maybe we could set a time for, like I said, in a few weeks. Have another session and kind of like hone down who we want to invite to the next one and kind of get logistics down.
Or
that way.
we do a training,
Right.
I've got, I can only speak for myself that I've got a lot to learn about what we can do and what we should be doing,
I have that.
and I fear inviting people too soon when at least I don't have the answers of what we can do.
What we're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
It would almost certainly be listening, but it would also, if they are counting on us to be knowledgeable listeners,
Right.
it would be a waste of their time,
Yeah,
I think, to do it too soon.
So so if we wanna try to do a training, if we wanna invite someone that was from the commission before, and I think I would probably ask Sean, he was the chair.
Okay, so that's a
Yeah.
good idea. And maybe have him from that meeting on the, well, the 6th would be 2 weeks from now. March 6th would be 2 weeks, the Thursday from now.
I think that would work for me.
If not, then 13th would be the 13th of this following week, that's 3 weeks out though. Situation.
I feel 6th work for you, Thursday the 6th.
This is terrible, but I ran out and left my telephone,
Oh,
but Thursdays are good anyway.
yeah, Thursday's the
Okay.
6th right there, so.
Thursday the
March
6th,
6th, yeah.
I mean, if. Let's plan on that
Yeah.
then.
Look into the
exception
trainings.
of,
So then I could like to go over this more, kind of look at the state law, kind of get familiarize myself with, all that Human Rights Commission entails.
anything you or
Yeah.
anyone else can throw at us via email as well.
Yeah, I can start. Now that you've met, start
Mhm.
dumping
Dumping.
information. Like, you need to talk to this person, you need to talk to this person. you need to-
Okay.
Yeah, let's focus on learning. I think that I don't know. I don't know if media will be reaching out. I imagine,
Pipeline reached out to me.
Yeah. but if
they.
they're reaching out again after the meeting, I think,
I would-
I imagine I would reflect that we are gonna focus on listening to start. And
Well, it might be a good idea to have one, and this is up to you guys, I don't know, but like, have one person, whether it's chairman or somebody else. Speak to the media initially, so we're not all giving different, like, stuff, Because I did pipe dream interview, and it was really pretty much isolated to myself and why I wanted to do it, so I kind of answered those questions, but when it comes down to questions in regards to what we're doing and what our plans are, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. Right, and then say something that I'm not sure that we can provide, or, so I know that me personally, I'm not gonna talk to the media after this meeting, in regards to like. Our stuff.
If you'd like to refer them to me, I'm happy to talk.
Yeah, and the thing is too, that, we don't wanna seem like, we're developing,
Right, yeah,
I think that
a
would be,
structure.
so I think that,
So even though
Yeah.
I would, I would take the interview,
Mhm.
but decline to comment on certain things.
Yeah,
yeah.
Listen, we're putting this thing together, this is
So
what,
just be transparent, like,
but,
yes.
strategic,
Right.
in the sense that, these are our goals, this is what we.
Right.
We take
Pump the brakes on, like,
this seriously, and
yeah.
listening, I think, is incredibly important in this situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
listening and learning so that we can
Yeah.
best serve the community.
Yeah.
Right, well, listen,
I think
I'm
that's
just
great.
so I
excited.
think
man.
that is good, I think that would be kind of like. You could say whatever you're gonna say, but the underlying theme is that we're at the beginning stages, and we're listening and learning right now,
Perfect, yeah.
So. I'm
Great.
all about a united voice, so.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah,
I agree.
and I have a tendency to ramble sometimes, so just look at me like, hey, all right. I will get to talking.
I do like that there's, not a whole lot of ego in the room. I think
Yeah,
that that's a
it's good,
good recipe
Well,
for us to be
I lost
working
my ego a
together.
long time ago. When I stood in front of that federal judge, man, whew, that humbles you.
Yeah, I mean, I even offline outside the committee, and I look forward to learning more about your experience.
Well, thank you, yeah.
So
I mean,
is there somebody online?
doesn't seem to
Could
be
be. There could be someone on a phone that's.
just listening in
Yeah.
to see how we're,
Like, who would that
Fair
be?
enough.
could be anybody.
Maybe a Porter News, maybe, who knows?
Oh, got you.
It's like there's a link on the city website.
That we're having, got you.
Yeah, I'm
So-
proud of the work that we're doing. They can.
They can
Listen,
certainly-
absolutely, listen all they want.
The more the merrier,
I'm
right.
thrilled because
I
it's
wish
bringing
there was
attention.
1,000 of phone things on there.
Right.
March 6th is the next meeting.
Yeah.
At 6 o'clock, and we're gonna try to do it. Are we gonna try, you think you'll be ready for us there, or should we come back here? and see? Come back
Yeah,
here.
let's
So
come
how do
back
we,
here.
how do we get access to this thing?
I'll help you set it up,
Yeah.
coordinate with the clerk's office, They set all of our meetings for us.
My experience with CVAC is that the building is accessible in that time period. Sometimes we have to go through security. Come in. I've never used this room here, but yeah, everyone's been great. Have access.
And so then you'll help us set us up, but if you're not here, do you know how to?
Make sure you get set up.
Are you
Okay,
our
So
ex
I'm
officio
saying-
member?
Nate will,
I think it's council member Middleton, but she's sick,
okay,
so.
okay. She'll help us set us, so we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Or at least be set up for coming.
I'll watch online.
You'll watch online?
No, I'll help you guys get set up.
Can you tell me just for the purpose of the minutes who is absent? That should be here, or are the other two?
This is No, the mayor has 3 appointments, he hasn't made any.
Oh, the mayor has 2 points.
I gave him some of the other resumes that we had, notified him a few times about. Like, when you intended to have this meeting, haven't really gotten a response on it, so
Okay, so I mean, that's fine.
if the chair wants to follow up with the mayor on. If he intends to appoint people, because it does, the one thing that it does do, it makes it difficult for you, if you're not all here, you won't have a quorum, if there's something that you need to vote on,
Right.
so.
Right.
Certainly.
Yeah, so
So that could be another.
if we can't make it,
Right.
let everyone know as soon as
Yeah.
possible and,
And I think in this case, he just hasn't appointed anybody yet. I don't think he's even started the process, because I know that the 4 of us are here, and he has the authority to appoint 3 more people to the Human Rights Commission. And I think we're just waiting for him to do his interviews and appoint the 3 people.
So, I don't know how Sean did this, he set us up so we had human rights commission emails. So we had an email that was just.
Oh,
for-
exclusively for this, for us.
Was it a city email?
I'm not sure, I didn't ask him.
Okay,
He just gave it to me as a new email.
Oh, he's asking, was it, city Binghamton?
I don't know, I don't
Can't
remember, I don't
remember.
remember,
Oh,
and I don't have a computer.
There-
to look it up.
okay.
I wonder if we could get a general email inbox.
can look into it. There's, I don't know if that hasn't been common for the other
Okay.
commissions to have a city email.
It might even be just, and
I mean, you can set up like a generic
we
one
can
that you
set
have.
up a generic Gmail or something like that, so, but I think it was helpful because that's where a lot of the.
But if
information-
you want it to be pretty secure, if there's like confidential
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
Right.
So that'll be something that needs to be navigated.
No, we definitely need.
That's something that's gonna be secure.
Human Rights Commission.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
That's a
just,
great-
it is just for, is it gonna be at City Binghamton or is it gonna be at Gmail,
Right.
I want us to be as professional
Absolutely.
as possible, even,
Right.
even as we're getting our footing.
Mhm.
It's important for those appearances,
I
because
agree.
we take this seriously.
Alright, so John, will you be looking into that?
Yes,
I'll call the mayor and ask him, I don't have a problem, I'll call him and ask him like, hey, when we met, what kind of just. Kind of wondering, what's your plan on, hire or, appointing these next three, human rights commissions. People, I don't have a problem with that, that's okay, yeah, I'm with that.
So you can see. Okay, cause if he's gonna be our spokesperson.
He should do that.
If he should do that.
I'm
Or
comfortable.
if he wants to kind of say, would you do that, then that's right.
Yeah, I'm comfortable doing that. I'm a mayoral appointee on the other committee.
Good.
Oh, what committee?
On the CDAC,
Okay.
yeah.
What's the CAC?
That's the Community Development Advisory Committee.
Okay.
We deal with recommendations on use of HUD funds.
Okay, awesome, yeah,
So I'd be happy to reach out to Mayor Cram and see if he'd have some time to talk with me about
is
it.
there anything that I need to be doing or I can do? The intern?
We
I
want-
think he would do this
we
homework.
want him
If
to
there's,
support us.
That's what I'm
We
ready to go.
want him to come behind us. We want him to, and any, I'm probably gonna have that conversation with him, we all,
Yeah.
because it, we speak and, um. Give it a chance, let's give this a chance, and, I think that one thing that we should immediately look into is tap into the professional representatives that have experienced or have their finger on the pulse in regards to discrimination as a whole, in all the different areas and what's going on in the city. In a sense, so it's not, we just decided to, we're not, looking into one group or
Yeah,
nothing,
right, right.
or trying to represent, that's not what it's about.
Right,
It's hearing the people regardless of where it's coming from and being able to present them.
absolutely.
I think brainstorming would be the next task. You know a lot of those people.
Yeah.
You're plugged into that and if you're willing to think about that and jot and bring it down for the next meeting, I think that would be important. And same with you,
Yep.
right? I think brainstorming.
I think I'm gonna focus my attention on brainstorming and then really getting a full understanding of what the laws are around human rights.
Okay.
I'm interested in this training that you said is available from the state. Like,
I will, I can, it's on my, it's in my email, then we can try to coordinate with the New York State Human Rights Division to coordinate with that.
But I think as of now, we've got a good starting point. I think that we're probably reaching a point where we can go offline.
Just make a motion, make a
Motion
motion to adjourn.
to adjourn if we have one.
okay, is somebody making a motion?
Make the motion to adjourn?
Do we have a second?
So.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Opposed? Same? All right, motion passes. We are adjourned.
Great.
That's-
I gotta get used to all